Going live. See? And we're live. All right, we're going to start in a few minutes. It's a bit of chit chat before. Yeah, let's talk. Maybe we talk about 11TConf for a little bit. It's popping off.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of talked about the ticketing stuff last week and how that was architected, and I did finally get that code open sourced yesterday. So
Nice.
if anyone wants to check out the source code for that, it's I think 11d/11d-conf on GitHub. And yeah, I mean, I think we're up to like 900 and some registrations, and we opened our CFP, and yeah, the talk submissions are rolling in right now, and it's kind of exciting to see. Yeah, I think if any companies are interested in sponsoring, I've got the sponsorship prospectus finalizing now and ready to send that out to some folks. And yeah, I think that's going to be exciting too if we can get some sponsorship dollars. We can maybe make the conference a little fancier. And I think the idea that we're kind of playing around with right now is not doing, since it's a free conference, swag is going to be like a paid tier. So I mean, the conference will be free and the content will be free, and access to the content after the conference will be free. But if you want swag to go along with the conference, there's going to be maybe a fee for that.
What kind of swag we're talking about? I know like 11T swag is in hot demand.
Yeah, I mean, I think the demand for 11T swag is purely out of a lack of motivation to get in the swag game from the organized perspective.
The supply demand curve is just way out of whack.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I ordered one pack of stickers when the project started, and we kind of have this like sneaker network of, you have to sort of meet someone that is like a sticker ambassador, and I think that it was me and then Manuel Matuzzo for a while. I think maybe he ran out of stickers very quickly, but yeah, you basically have to see me at a conference to get a sticker. Which is just because I don't want to like mail stuff out. But yeah, I think with the conference, it's going to be the first time you can officially like purchase a sticker. And I think we'll probably have some like limited edition conference specific stickers, and maybe even some mascot stickers. I don't know. We're kind of talking through it right now, but yeah, I think we'll also probably include an 11D project t-shirt. I think we'll probably just do project swag and not conference specific swag. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of, because we've never done an 11D t-shirt before, so I think this is maybe like a good opportunity to, I don't know, establish a precedent for that, and maybe just have different designs for t-shirts over the years. But yeah, I think it's a good idea to maybe dip our toes into the swag game without having like a super formal, like this takes time all the time style of swag store. So
Zastro84, I'm getting very excited for 11T swag.
Yeah, there we go.
I actually just looked on eBay for 11T. I was just curious. And there's nothing there yet, but who knows? Who knows after the conference? Like they're a hot commodity.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious because there have been a few instances of, I don't know, like subterfuge or like underground network stickers that people have made. We kind of had one at the CloudCannon all hands, I think, this year.
Yeah, the retreat. Yeah, we had bootleg 11T stickers, which were a little bit shinier, I think, and they had rounded corners with, an authentic 11T sticker. It's matte. It's got sharp corners, and it has Zach's fingerprints on it too.
Yeah, fingerprints, exactly. Yeah, I feel like we're gonna get like the those sneaker style quality things that, like, you know, go to the mall and get your sneakers authenticated.
It's just
You know,
like
the
a
same thing
glass
for
case
Liberty
with a Liberty sticker. Like you wouldn't put it anywhere near your laptop. It goes on the
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think a lot of people don't know this, but I had these, I don't know, this was probably a few years ago, but I had, like, large laptop-sized stickers made, and I have one on my laptop right now. It's, like, almost the full size of the laptop case. And those are maybe the most exclusive 11 sticker you can get. That's like next tier because I think there are only like 5 or 6 of them made, and those are in my office somewhere.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll give those away at the conference. I don't know.
Oof, man, you're gonna make some people very wealthy doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have some other secret plans to do with surprise swag giveaways through the conference too. So yeah, we'll see what happens. More to come there.
Nice, very exciting. All right, we'll get into today's stream. So Zach has been carrying the stream for weeks, and it's my turn to do something. We're going to dive into how the CloudCannon marketing site works and how we edit on CloudCannon. And it's an 11 site. So Zach is going to be here to critique all the silly things I've done.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of the start of an era, I think, because when y'all first launched that sort of blog post and the migration to 11, that started a lot of things, I think, in progress for the 11 project generally. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll share screen. How's that? Yeah. Okay, so we'll just do a quick tour of the site itself and then dig into a little bit about how it works. So maybe we'll just focus on the homepage for now. So main hero, image with a video that pops up, logo, ticker, another heading footer, image, and then these like left right sort of block with a video, another image, then another like kind of section, I guess we'll call it, with logos at various angles and text, emoji, paragraph, some case studies, a block with some info, and then a CTA. So that's the general gist. And one thing we really wanted to try out with this site is to get into page building. So with any content management, you have this trade-off of how much control you want to give the editor. So like if we wanted it to have be fairly rigid in the components, like we could have made this one big component and it has to have a heading, it has to have a paragraph, and it has to have buttons, and the content editor just kind of fills that out. At the other end of the spectrum, everything is a component. So you have a heading component, a paragraph component, a button component, and you can like mix and match and all of these components to kind of make your own larger components. So this site was just really diving into that mindset of how flexible and how much power can we give a content editor where they have the tools to just build pages entirely from scratch by themselves and can have a lot of control over the design or the layout. So let's have a look at how it works. So this is CloudCannon, and this is editing that same page in CloudCannon. And you can see as I hover, it's highlighting those big sections. And if I hover over, if I click on that section, and then I get all of these subcomponents as well. So I can go into this heading and edit this text. And it's going to make those updates live on the page. And if this was like a React site, it would be like, okay, we're using the React stack to re-render the page as we type in new content. But this page is, we can look at the source here. It's just HTML and CSS. There's no fancy hydration or special JavaScript running other than like things for like clicking this button to pull up a modal. So basically just HTML and CSS, but we get this live editing as well. And that's some CloudCannon magic that we'll dive into in a little bit. So I can edit this heading. I can also get into the styles as well, where let's say I want this gap to be bigger. This is currently in H1, like maybe I want it to actually be an H6. That doesn't change the actual style of it. We made the decision that we want the style and the actual element to be separate. So I can also change the text size if I wanted that to be smaller. So all the style changes are going to update live as well. So let's change that back. Yeah, I can adjust the width. And then I have these 3 sections here where I can actually customize the styles per layout. I have a desktop, tablet, and mobile. So you just saw that here, where maybe I want to update this margin and increase this gap here. So I can make that like 100. But it's only going to do that on desktop. So I can do separate styles for desktop and mobile. So it gives me a lot of control over the layout. So all the elements, all these like kind of basic building blocks have similar controls. So if we go into this paragraph, I can update all this content visually and it will just update on the page. And then I get those same style controls and can adjust the margins or the text size or the alignment, whatever I want. Let's make that left align for kicks. Then we have this button component where a similar idea, but now this is a nested component. So it's a button holder, and inside a button holder, I can add buttons. So I can just add another button pretty easily, and then I'll just adjust the styles to make it match. Then I could choose outline. I can also change the order of these. So let's say I want that heading actually at the bottom, and for some reason I want the buttons at the top. And then I want to add another section here. So we've gone into this container and let's add another heading. So here's all my components, all the basic building blocks I have that I can add to a container. Let's add another heading. Hello world. Yeah, let's just keep the styles the same. And now I can play around with this heading and maybe I'll put that at the top. Need some margin there. Yeah, so that's the gist of how it works, and everything on the page is just built up using those components. We have these big section blocks and then smaller components inside it, and then you can nest further and further down. And through that, a non-technical editor can use those components to build the page without understanding really anything about 11t or HTML or CSS. And they kind of get that web flow experience, but it's an 11t site under the hood, and it's crafted with whatever framework and libraries that you want. For this site, we used Tailwind, which I was into at the time, but I probably wouldn't use Tailwind again. And we used Alpine JS for the little sprinklings of JavaScript, like for doing this, which, yeah, I think now I'm much more just on a vanilla stack, vanilla CSS, vanilla JavaScript. So all the pages on CloudCannon are really built with this technology and these components. And if the marketing team wants to do something new, something that's not possible with those components, they go to our developer team, they create a new component, and then they can use that anywhere on the site. I'll just get into maybe I'll get into nesting components, because that kind of shows a lot of the power. So here I'm going to add, I'll add a new component, which is a section, not container. We'll do a 2-column actually. So now I've got my 2-column, and I can add components to either the left or the right. So I could add, let's say that, let's add the heading again. So I have a heading, and then below the heading, just open that. I'll have a paragraph. What is it called? Is it called paragraph?
Text block.
Oh yeah, that looks good. Of text. And I'll make the heading left aligned. And we'll add a little margin, some separation. So now I've got the left side of that 2-column. So now I can just add components to the right side. So let's add maybe an image. And now what we'll do, explore existing. And a big old 11T logo, why not?
It's as big as those exclusive stickers that we're going to get for the conference.
And yeah, I could, like, as a developer, I can define whatever metadata and attributes I want to give a lot of control over this. As much control as I want to. Like here we've got transformations, so I can like rotate the image and skew it if I wanted. So it's pretty cool at someone non-technical being able to play around with tooling like this. And as a developer, it's very easy to give that kind of control. So now I've created that left-right block from scratch. So hopefully that kind of highlights the power of the approach. Let's dig a little bit into how it actually works. So this is the source code for the page. So what it is, we have our general front matter here, and then the real meat of it is this content. I'll make this bigger. This content blocks, and every component has a name, and it's called Bookshop name. Bookshop is the CloudCannon. It's an open source CloudCannon library that's powering the components and doing a lot of the magic. So here we've got that container that we have at the top, and it's got a label, and then it's got the blocks, which is another array, and it's nested. So then we have more components inside. So that's our header, welcome to my page. It's got all the styles for desktop, tablet, mobile. Then we've got another, we've got our button holder. And inside that, again, nested elements, a button, which has its text and link and styles. Each button could be styled differently. Yeah, so it's all just nested front matter. And it's, so you can manage this in the source code, but that's kind of where CloudCannon comes in, as it understands the structure and just makes it a lot easier to grapple with. Then for the components themselves, we'll go to the files. So again, there's nothing particularly special about how these components they have to be, with Bookshop, they have to be structured in a certain way, but it's just a Liberty. It's a Liberty. It's like liquid templating. So here's all our components. We'll go find the heading. That's the one we're using a bit. So each component has two files. One is bookshop.yaml file, which essentially has the metadata for that component. So if we go in here, make this bigger. Heading, description, this is all used in CloudCannon to just show that component. And then we have the blueprint, which is just the front matter that essentially gets copied and pasted in when you add that component. So this is what we saw before. Then we have some CloudCannon config to add comments in the interface to help the content editor understand what to do. And then for like a select box, giving the values. So instead of typing, they can just select an item from the list. But that's basically it. Like, there's no other magic. Well, the magic is in the Bookshop library itself. It's something one of our engineers, Liam Bigelow, works on. And it's basically doing an 11T build in the browser as you type. It is very, very cool. And it just allows you to have that kind of interface on a static website that you assume is using React or some sort of heavy JavaScript framework. Then for the component itself, a lot of this is just liquid. And there's nothing particularly special about this liquid. It's just reading that front matter in the and that we saw on the homepage and rendering the component out of it. So it's essentially creating a big CSS styles, like based on what the margin was and your alignment setting and the margin, and then just rendering that at the end here and having a style tag. It gets a unique ID, so it can style that particular element. Yeah, so that's basically the editing experience on the site. We've learned a lot doing this. It's something we want to support, do a bit, like we're still learning about how we can improve and support these workflows better. This is just kind of a first cut of the future of visual editing on an 11T site. This also works in Jekyll and Hugo, and we have plans to make this work for any static site generator. But this is kind of one path of what we see is the like future of editing these type of sites. The other path is, as I described before, those well-defined components that are just a lot simpler, and you can. It just depends how big you want those building blocks. And if you have, let's say you had a hero building block that had all of that, and you just chunk it in, and you don't need to worry about margins and padding and things like that. that's another path that we've seen work really well, and just different use case and different level of control.
Yeah, Mike, when you sort of went back and you were adding those different headings and adding and tweaking those margins, I wonder if an improvement that we can make to the site specifically is tying that into design tokens, so standard margins that are used in different sections of the site. It doesn't necessarily need to be numeric, right? You can just add a select list of your design token spacing, or your spacing design tokens there, and generate that markup from design tokens too. It doesn't need to be a numeric pixel value.
So would it translate to a pixel value, or how would that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think typically when I'm working with design tokens, on the output they generate like a CSS custom property that you can use throughout your site. But just to inform like the app UI and the CloudCannon admin for this site, we can generate a select list based on some other data. We could generate a list of options to populate our configuration files based on the design tokens that we want to use.
Yeah, I love that, because otherwise they're essentially, you get to a point where you're just writing CSS in a GUI, so it's like giving that level of control, but also trying to make it as approachable and simple as possible.
Yeah, I kind of think of that as one of the initial features that sort of sold Tailwind as like a more reusable thing. Is you
totally.
have these standard design tokens, and they are specified basically in your Tailwind code, and it gives you some more consistency across your site. But yeah, I think that was a good piece of Tailwind.
It is like, there's a few things I did really like about Tailwind, like just if you need to do it felt very fast because you're not switching between things, and you can just kind of once you understand the language and how to do things, you're not having to switch back and forth. You can just do it all in one place. Same with Alpine, but it gets to a point where I felt like I was repeating myself a lot, and I just wanted to be in CSS.
I
wanted
I
that
always
control.
hit that. It's sort of strange because I remember when Tailwind first came around, there was quite a bit of criticism of it. And I think a lot of the criticism was met with this response of, well, you need to stick with it. If you stick with it long enough, it will click for you, and then you'll start to get sort of very fast with the tool. I don't know. I think I always have a healthy amount of skepticism when folks reply with that. I feel like things should be useful out of the box, and shouldn't necessarily require a huge hurdle to get over to get started, because they've seen a lot of success because of the sort of tightly coupled communities with React. And I think that, when you have React components and you can then put your Tailwind classes inside of a React component and the deduplication happens at that level, it's maybe easier to work on. And the developer experience is nicer. But when you're outside of React world, that duplication becomes more of a pain.
I think I went through that full journey where the first time I saw Tailwind, I was like, it just looks so verbose. Like, I don't know why I would want that. And then an engineer, young class, and at CloudCannon was like, you
Shout
should
out to
try it.
Young.
Like, hey, Young. And I got it. I feel like I did do that. Like I just kept building in it, and I got faster, and it felt good. But then I feel like when especially a project this size, by the end of it, I'd come back full circle to, I want vanilla CSS, especially now that we have nesting and variables and a lot of the stuff you would have gone to a framework like that for.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of wild to think about, and because I've been a web developer for a long time, and I think this is the first instance of in my long career of a specifications body sort of outpacing the application level in this way, because it's almost like your Tailwind code can't keep up with the new CSS features that are shipping, and that to me is a very big code smell for the abstraction that you're using. But just at a larger level, it seems like CSS was shipping things to the browsers faster than faster than a lot of these sort of CSS abstractions could keep up with. And that to me is just sort of nuts.
Yeah,
because I don't think that's ever happened in my career.
Yeah, that's yeah. The fact that we've got to that point with CSS is just incredible. Like I remember just hacking around with libraries to do rounded corners,
Yes.
and it would put an image in, or I don't know.
Yeah, they used to do rounded corners with 1 pixel spacer images that were like just slightly shorter widths every time. So you'd have like 10 or more of these spacer images in every corner of the rounded element that you wanted to make. And yeah, that was a different kind of wild.
Yeah.
Border radius was, just a very cool thing to see.
It always gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling doing border radius because I never take it for granted. I'm like, the curve is just so crisp and nice, and it's one line of CSS.
Yeah, I wonder how much you've used border image over the years, because I feel like that one is maybe a little bit too complex. Because I feel like I've been to the MDN page for that one a few times, and I tried to actually use it on the ticketing screenshot stuff that we demoed last week, as a way to implement those sort of strange ticket borders. But yeah, I never really found it intuitive enough, or it wasn't powerful in the right way. That and I didn't really get to a good place with it. But yeah, I think border images may be one of those things that a lot of people. I mean, it's useful for some use cases, but I just haven't. I don't think I've made it to a spot where I'm familiar enough with it that I can, get it to work how I want it.
Yeah, with I'm the same with CSS Grid. Like I always have to look up docs. I can never remember it off the top of my head. Yeah, even Flexbox, like justify item, justify self, align items, align content. Sometimes I have to go through a few of them to like figure out what I want.
Yeah, I feel like I do that with vertical align. Where you kind of toggle through it in DevTools to see which one it looks the best. And I feel like there's still some inconsistencies cross-browser with that one, but yeah.
Yeah, so just coming back to the site, like a big focus for the site was performance. Because we, as like a hosting company and pushing static websites, performance is a big part of it, and we really wanted to demonstrate a very high performance website. So like the kind of base level of that is something like that being an SVG, and then also just being embedded SVG, so it's not doing another file request, it just comes with the HTML. What else? The images, just using modern file formats and trying to just serve the minimal image required, minimal size and best file format. So we used image X to do a lot of that resizing and built our own pitch tag if I was doing it again, I would use the 11T picture tag plugin. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, we have an 11D image utility. But I mean, there's sort of drawbacks to and benefits to both. I think that the advantage of using this approach is that it doesn't add any additional build time to your project.
Yes. Yeah.
That is maybe one of the most expensive utilities that you can add.
Yep.
And yeah, if you go out actually to the 11D documentation, I started to add like these, I don't know what it is. It's like these build performance like meters. If you go to the image utility, click through there and go to the docs. And then, go down to the image utility. I think it's like in the plugin section on the left.
This one?
Yeah. We started to add like these build costs, that little widget there right at the top, the 3 turtles widget, to show, how costly the different aspects of things are.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And if you scroll up, there's actually a couple of different variations of it. There's like a WebC version. There's a sort of the asynchronous shortcode version. And I think there's like also this new transform version that we introduced. That's 4 turtles.
Oof,
the reason
that's getting up there.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that one's more expensive is not only does it do the image transformation, which is a 3 turtles by definition, but it also goes through all of your output HTML and finds any image tag and then optimizes those images for you. So
that's
it's like this trade-off between having some extra configuration up front or just post-processing everything, and that happens more automatically. Less configuration, but a little bit slower. And yeah, I think that's a good option to offer people, because if your project is pretty small, then a 4 turtle cost isn't going to be that big of a deal to you. And you want that ease of implementation more than anything else. You'll trade some slowness for easy to implement.
Yeah, it's like for newborn turtles, whereas a big site's like for like 50-year-old fully grown turtles.
Tortoises, yeah. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, this is cool though. I feel like this is really what I wanted when I was building this, and I didn't find it, so I just kind of put together something with ImageX and like I built a custom plugin around it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's new as of just like within the last month or so. So yeah, brand new.
Another one, and again, like I would do this. I don't know if I'd do it differently, but if you embed a Vimeo or a YouTube video, it's just going to load a bunch of crap on top of the video. So just making it an image with a button, and then when you click, then it loads the embed and everything else. That was actually quite a bit of work, because their embed's not designed to do it that way. It just expects the script tag to be on the page from the beginning. So there's a lot of magic when you click this. It's adding the Vimeo script to the page, and then it's waiting for it, and then it'll wait for the video to load, then it will autoplay. But
I think I'll
go ahead. Yeah, just with this site, we had that obsession with performance. Like anything more we can squeeze out, like we're gonna take out or delay or whatever it is to just make it as fast as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds very similar to the same exact problem that light YouTube embed solved from Paul Irish. Yeah, it's the Vimeo equivalent of that.
Yeah, and like you showed that to me at the perfect time, because like if we go to the Future Jamstack, like this is embedding a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah,
like I can't even imagine how many megabytes it would be if I just used the YouTube embed with like
1.2 meg for each one.
Yeah, and there's probably, I don't know, 50 videos here.
Yeah.
Talking about maybe 80 megabytes just to load some images and buttons that you can easily get out of control.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there are just so many examples like this of third-party embed tools that do way more than developers actually want them to do.
Yeah.
Because if you go to YouTube's site and you browse around videos, they're not loading 1.2 meg for each video thumbnail that they're showing on their site.
Yeah.
So why can't you just repeat that same functionality in your embed? Why is that such a hard problem to solve?
Well,
And
tracking.
yeah, I think that's the big one. But yeah, I mean, I think that I feel like the I don't know, the vibe from video embeds just generally is that folks don't put as much thought into the embed and the loading performance of those because they feel like you're loading a video, the video content's going to be way more than 1 meg.
Yeah.
So why worry about it? But it is a huge deal. Like, I don't want 1 meg for each embed up front.
Yeah.
Like, we need to worry about like this critical rendering path versus lazy loading things.
Especially when maybe, like in this case, maybe 90% of people will not click that button. So why have the
Yeah.
1 megabyte penalty? Like yeah. It's fair enough if the video is auto playing, but different story when it's not.
Yeah, but what user likes video auto playing?
Yeah, true. Well, as long as it doesn't have sound, but I mean, we have this one.
Fine,
yeah, but it's still like it should still wait till it's in viewport at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's like what you're describing before, where it's like it's you're already loading the video, so it's a small step. It's kind of like price anchoring, where if you buy like a, I own one suit and it's a very cheap suit, but let's say you spent $500 on a suit, selling you like a $50 tie is a very small step, and you're more likely to make that purchase because you just spent $500. Whereas if I went out looking for a tie and saw $50, I'd be like, that seems pretty expensive.
Yeah, it also kind of reminds me of airport pricing. The cheaper your ticket is, the more upsells they try to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just incremental sales. I'm curious what you think about this one. So let's see if we can see it. Oh. So when I hover over this, wait, is this in?
Can you zoom in your DevTools?
Yeah. It's not doing it.
There's some like tagging on those buttons, or what do you mean?
So at least at one point there's a script that when you hover over a link, it will preload that page. What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah. I did actually experiment with that on I think maybe the 11D documentation for a while. I can't remember what plugin we used. Yeah, I mean, I think that is an interesting approach, and I'm okay with it. I think that it works fine. I think there's some very good and reputable plugins that implement that feature. I think that it occupies a very good space in the single-page application versus multi-page application discussion.
Yeah.
And if you go out to the 11D documentation, we have like, I think this, I don't remember where it is on the site, but let me find it. Yeah, if you go to the search and search for single page applications, we have this section on our docs about sort of the trade-offs. I don't remember where this page is linked from, to be honest. It's on one of our like getting started pages, I think. And yeah, so we sort of go through the different considerations between a single page application and a multi-page application. And we have some of those utilities linked up. if you scroll down to the bottom, there's one called Quick Link. And there's, yeah, I think you went too far. There's like alternatives, an alternatives section. Yeah. So that fourth screenshot there is called Quick Link, and that's, I think, something that does something similar. And yeah, predictive prefetching, I think, is another link that occupies that same space in the discussion, because when you're talking to people about single page applications, a lot of folks seem to think that the performance is better in a single page application when you're sort of injecting less JavaScript. And I think that that is true for super heavy JavaScript sites. But again, it's like sort of setting the stakes in favor, the stakes of the discussion in favor of single page applications, because on the one hand, we should talk about JavaScript bloat before we talk about SPA versus MPA, because if you are going to have a single page application and a ton of JavaScript, then reducing the amount of JavaScript that you run is going to benefit you, but that also benefits multi-page applications too. So there's sort of this, I feel like, inflection point in the discussion that gets missed a lot. And that is, yeah, the amount of JavaScript bloat you have on your site. And so if you have this sort of more lightweight site, which I think CloudCannon.com is, yeah, I think Quick Link and these sort of prefetching libraries are great. But when you get into like these heavier sites that need single page application style navigations, then yeah, maybe it's not quite as good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key here, is this is a progressive enhancement where it's perceived performance as well. Like, it's not actually making the site faster. It's just that 0.2 of a millisecond where I hover and then click. It's a step ahead of me already loading the page. But the trade-off is if I go like this, it's going to do a whole bunch of requests, which isn't necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, I remember back in my jQuery days, there was this really cool utility that we used to use that only, it like triggered an event when you sort of stopped on an element for a certain amount of time. So you could go across a whole grouping of links and it wouldn't trigger the event. But once you like started to slow down, it would look at the acceleration of your mouse and do some heuristics to decide if it was going to trigger this event or not. I can't remember what it was. Hover intent, maybe? That's maybe what's calling out to me, hover intent. But yeah, it's the hover intent jQuery plugin. Wow, my memory is giving myself a little credit. That was like 10 years ago.
I don't know if I could name one jQuery plugin now. That's amazing.
But yeah, I thought it was a really cool plugin, and I think that it would still be useful today if someone rebuilt this as a web component.
Yeah, and what was nice about Quick Link is less than 1 kilobyte minified gzip. Like, you're not adding a bunch of bloat. It's a progressive enhancement, and it gets you some perceived performance and makes it feel more like that SPA kind of instant. You don't necessarily notice there's a page load there.
Yeah, that's great.
The trickiest component on the site was this one. I'm curious how you would tackle this, like particularly that overlap, while like being able to do things like that where you can have these kind of drop downs.
Yeah, I mean, is this implemented using a table behind the scenes, or?
It is. I went through a few different paths and ended up with a table. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that probably makes the most sense for the data structures. I mean, I think that border is kind of fancy. I would assume you probably made some trade-offs with like background colors and foreground colors there, but yeah, I mean, it looks great. I don't know what question you're asking me exactly.
Yeah, it was just like I think each TD, like that TD is normal. That one gets shifted.
Oh, I see.
They all get shifted, but then you need to account for that padding, because otherwise, like when you try and center things in there, it will try and center it to there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember playing around with this for ages, trying to get it all looking how you would expect, just working.
Yeah, that does kind of seem like a problem that Tailwind would not solve in the
No.
nicest way. That's an immediate problem where you realize that maybe just a standalone CSS block might be easier to implement, because then you can do. I mean, I think Tailwind can do like nth child stuff, but it just, I don't know. It seems like you're fighting the tool more than you can.
Yeah, that's it.
More than you want.
Yeah, and I mean you can drop into CSS as well, but then it's like, just it's much better just sticking to one paradigm and mindset.
Yeah, yeah. I do think that the one Tailwind site that I worked on, I did actually like end up escaping to CSS more than a few times, much to the chagrin of my coworkers. But I mean, when you got deadlines, I don't know.
Yeah, get me to the source. Like,
yeah,
when the frameworks is getting in the way, it's not helping.
yeah.
Maybe I'll just finish off with this component, because this is kind of fancy. This is it could have been done with a big image, but it needed to work for mobile and tablet and resizing and everything. And we wanted to use SVGs for all of these with the performance. So let's take a look at 11T. So it's actually, and to be able to like add new logos if we wanted.
Yeah, I don't think I realized that this was implemented like this.
Yeah.
I just assumed it was one image. That's amazing.
It's a lot of work for for what could have been an image, but it works. So like, yeah, we could make 11T a little bit bigger.
Oh wow.
And then there's a lot of like hand placing exactly where it is. We could put it upside down, skew it a little. I've forgotten what else is in here. Oh, you can adjust like I'll take the skew off. That's messing things up.
Is there any like skewing that exists on the production site today, or is that just like an added?
Good question.
Just in case.
I actually spotted somewhere it could have been, but I don't think it is.
Oh, you don't need to navigate away, but yeah.
Templates. Like I feel like something like that could be. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. The parallax. I didn't actually notice that. Hell yeah.
There you go. Somebody's getting a good performance review this
year. Yeah. Shout out to parallax person, whoever you are. maybe James. Yeah.
I mean, this is the exact reason. I mean, you talked to sort of about how much that widget, how much work went into that widget, and how, yeah, it could have maybe been an image for that desktop version, but I feel like when you put in a little bit extra work and you get that reaction, you never see that reaction. It's very rare that you see that reaction when someone's visiting the site. But yeah, it was cool to see you notice that and like be delighted by that in live reaction mode.
Yeah, that's it.
I feel like, yeah, we work for that a lot, but we never see that.
Yeah,
you never get to see the user react to that.
It's like all that little polish. Yeah, it's just like a feeling it creates more than like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you could, I think in mobile view, because it's so tight, not all the logos are there. So then you could say, like mobile, I don't know. Yeah, we could like hide it or not hide it or whatever.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Curious which ones get hidden on mobile.
Yeah, let's have a look. I'm surprised 11T.
I'm gonna start some fights here.
All right, tablet 11T's there. Maybe all of them get hidden. So
okay.
Yeah, maybe we should just keep let's try and just keep 11T, see what happens. Where are you? That probably put the layout out of whack. Oh yeah. And then let's...
So you can move it around, yeah.
Give a little nudge. Oh, not that high. Not sure why it's scrolling. Transform, logo transform, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. Oh, am I?
Is it actively selected?
Maybe, yeah. Active. Oh, that's right. Yeah, active has to be. There we go. That's working. Let's put that. Yeah. So it's down the bottom. I could play around with that and get it right, but
yeah,
that's the kind of control you have where you can, like, as a content editor, you can make that sort of decision, which I think in most content management systems would be a very difficult thing to do. And then the thought of placing a logo on an XY coordinate without visual editing is basically not viable. You need the visual editing to do that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so one of the next big evolutions that it's in research at the moment is currently we have a library called Bookshop that powers all of this and makes it possible and does all this magic of live rendering the page in CloudCannon. And it requires, like we looked at before, a certain like structure, and you have to use the Bookshop library, which isn't a high bar, but if you're bringing a site to CloudCannon and you want that visual editing, you have to like restructure your components a little bit to use it. So the next evolution that we're researching at the moment of this tooling is that you don't need to do that. You can just bring an 11T site or a Hugo site or whatever to CloudCannon, and it will just be able to do this magically without having to do anything else. Yeah, so that's something we're pretty excited about at the moment.
Yeah, I've seen a few demos of that, and it is going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that, yeah, I wouldn't have assumed would be possible until I saw a demo.
Yeah, that's going to change the game. I think that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. Nice. Yeah, mate, let's wrap that up. Maybe we can ask chat, actually. Is there anything, we're doing these streams weekly now, is there anything you want to see from us? Anything cool you want us to build or demo or just showcase?
Or even people that you'd like to see us invite.
Yeah, true.
Cool to get a third party in here, as long as it's not third-party JavaScript, and they could demo something cool for us.
Cool.
Yeah, I got a list of people that I think we should get in touch with for sure.
That'll be fun. The more the merrier. Up to 3, I feel like. Then it would get a bit chaotic.
Yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of cool things that are being shipped right now. So yeah. Getting other people involved would be great.
Nice. All right, thanks, chat. I'm new. This is my second chat I've watched. Been enjoying it though. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, great. We'll be here next week.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Zastro. We'll catch you next week. See ya.
Later, y'all.